Hey, welcome. This is the first training in the Web Prep Checklist series. So last week I gave an introduction of the things we were going to cover in this series, and also I explained the difference between a product-based person's website and someone that sells services, why it's so crucial to have your website work for you when you sell services. And so if you didn't catch that, you can rewatch that here on my Facebook business page. I also did a recap of it with text and links and everything on my blog, craftingcreative.com/blog. So make sure you check that out. And today, again, we're doing step 1 of the web prep checklist. What are we talking about? I want to teach you the difference between what really makes for a standout brand and what makes for crave-worthy content. Then I want to talk about the personal brand blend that you bring to your website, defining your business goals and how that's different when it comes to your website versus when you're talking about just business goals in general. So no SMART goals here. And then why you really do need to optimize your website as a service-based entrepreneur, even if you primarily work with referral clients. So if you haven't downloaded the checklist yet, you can get that from craftingcreative.com/checklist. And today specifically, if you want a worksheet to accompany this, I've created a Web Foundations workbook that's 3 parts, but just the first part, the goal setting sheet, is what we would be using today. So you can grab that from craftingcreative.com/goals. And if we haven't formally met before, I'm Megan. I work with other creative entrepreneurs that sell services like coaches, copywriters, VAs, OBMs. And what we do is I work with them so that they can craft websites that get them more consistent client inquiries with less hustle and with zero sleazy marketing tactics. And so in this series, I'm going to teach you the exact step-by-step process for how I went from having 1, maybe 2 clients within a 6-month period to being booked out with 11 clients and actually declining some clients within the following 6-month period. First, I want to get clear on the crucial mindset difference between your brand and your marketing. So when it comes to your brand, it's about you. You make it stand out because there's no other you in the world, right? You are the unique aspects that you bring to your brand. But when it comes to the content and the offers that you create, that needs to be all about your ideal client. So that's the difference there. So what does that mean in practical terms? That means on your website, in the visuals, the way you present yourself digitally, that's going to be like 80% you, 20% them when it comes to things like your color preferences, your fonts, the layout, how much white space is there, the photography, right? That's all about you and your personality and letting that shine through in your brand. Even if you're an introvert, even if you want to build a brand that's bigger than you need to give your brand personality, and that comes from you. Okay? But when it comes to your content, your copywriting, your offers, like your services, and maybe even products that you're creating, so that needs to shift the balance to be about them. That's going to be 80% them, at least, and 20% you, okay? So I just wanted to differentiate that so you understand where I'm coming from when we go into this personal branding section. So your personal brand is a blend of you and your client. It's not all about you, and it's not all about them. 2 of the best ways to inject your personality into your online presence is through your words and your visuals. So your copywriting and your graphics or your photos or your colors, etc. Now, let me walk you through some examples that I've done with my clients for how they incorporated these 2 worlds to bring personality to their brand and website. This example is from my client Angela S., and she has these amazing portraits that are very editorial style. And then that, along with her copywriting and the way that she speaks and her word choices, you really get a sense for her personality, and it's amazing. She really comes at the world of wellness from a very different angle, and I think that we were able to portray that here with the combination of her words and her visuals. In this example from a client, Dawn, she's an amazing copywriter. So her words are very captivating on their own, and we really wanted to let those speak for themselves. But you still want to incorporate some of her personality, which is why I put that bold color behind it. So you have that balance of the bold color and then her words, which are a little bit cheeky at times, right? So you get a sense of her personality. And you can imagine how this would give you a different sort of experience if instead of that bold sort of orange color, it was like a ballet pink color in the background, right? It's going to come across differently. And then the final example here from client Kathleen, she's an amazing launch strategist. She didn't have like a whole professional photo shoot. She had a great headshot, and we used that on the site, but I wanted to add some more imagery. So I sourced this stock photo here to accompany her words, and the interplay of the stock photo with the copywriting and the color, it really gives a sense of her personality and sort of teases the experience, being very streamlined of what it's like to work with her. So when it comes to measuring the success of your website, you're blending, again, you and your client, but this time you're blending your goals with your dream client's goals. So by defining your business goals before you start your website or before you go to refresh or redesign your site, you'll know how to measure if your site is moving your business toward those goals or if it's not. And if it's not, then you can think about other ways that you can change things so that you can fix that. It's also going to help you with your site layout. So if you do this before you go to design or redesign your site, by doing this, you'll know how you should lay out both the individual pages and then how those pages logically should flow together in order to move your visitors into the potential client inquiry or whatever your particular goal is for your site. So I'm sure you guys are all familiar by now with the SMART structure for setting goals. It's popular with like 90-day year or 12-week year methods. And really, it's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. I'm not going to go into this because I'm sure there are loads of resources if you want to research this further. But I want to show you an example of how we might take a goal from being vague to using this SMART methodology. So a vague goal would be, I want to get more website traffic. Because this is not something that can be measured. We don't even know the time frame we're talking about. This is like me saying, I want to have $1 million, right? It's like, it's not going to happen if I'm just saying it. We need to put some structure around it so that we can have milestones that we're working toward. So in the SMART framework, this could be, I want to have a 200% increase in returning visitor traffic within 30 days of relaunching my site. And this is a real result that I got for a previous client. So by using this SMART structure, we are already improving the specificity of our goals. However, SMART, it still isn't enough when it comes to your website. There are a few key pieces missing in order to apply this objective to our website in a way that allows us to make sure that we're really working toward this goal. And so that's why I've come up with a different framework for goal setting when it comes to your website. And let's go through that piece by piece. So first up is metrics. How will you know when you've reached your goal? What measurement are you going to use to identify that you've reached the goal? So in my example, I said, I want my website traffic to increase by 200%. I'll measure that by seeing that within this month period, my returning visitor count is 200% greater than in the previous month period. And I'm going to measure that using Google Analytics. So the next, after metrics, we want to define the purpose. So how will this specific objective get you closer to your big picture goal? In this example, I want to increase my returning visitor traffic. But why do I want to do that? Well, because I want to have an expanding and engaged email list. And by increasing my returning visitor traffic, I know that my content is valuable and helpful to them, for one, and I'm getting more eyeballs back on my site, so there's a greater likelihood that they will sign up for my email list. After that, we want to discuss the timeline. So what is a realistic time frame that this could be accomplished by? In my goal, I said 30 days, but maybe this is something that's going to take a little bit longer. Maybe 60 or 90 days is a more realistic time frame. So based on the strategies and the action plan that we set up, then I might need to reassess this timeline. Next up will be the strategy. So what will you do or experiment with to reach that goal? And can you break it into milestones? In this example, I'm going to experiment by adding more video and screenshots to my blog posts and by increasing the length of them a little bit. Google likes when you add different kind of media to posts, and that maybe that will attract more visitors and more returning visitors because they're more useful in that way. I'll also experiment with how I'm promoting the posts by going on Facebook and Instagram and creating unique posts for those separate platforms rather than just using an automated social media poster that just posts a title and link to my post. And then I can break that into milestones by saying I will monitor this every week and see how it's progressing. So then lastly, we need to talk about the action. And this means the action that your visitors will take on your website. What do you want them to do ultimately when they land on your site? So my goal ultimately is to get them to sign up to my email list. But because I'm really focused on visitor numbers and returning visitors, another goal could be to get them to share out my blog posts. So specifically on my blog page, I might emphasize those share buttons and see how that goes. And then throughout my website, make sure that I have multiple opt-in call to actions to get people onto my email list. You may be thinking, but my business runs on referrals, so I don't need to worry about improving my website. Actually, you do. I'm going to call BS on that. Because remember last week when we talked about why it's so important as a service-based business owner to have a well-crafted website? If not, you can go ahead and go back and watch that. It's really valuable information. The thing is, when a potential client lands on your site, they are looking at how easy it is to navigate, if you have your information readily available, and it's giving them a teaser of an experience of what it might be like to work with you. And you want to make sure that that experience that they get on the website is in alignment with their desired experience for what it would be like to work with someone that they hire. And just because you get a referral, it's not a guarantee, right? Because this person probably has gotten at least 3 other referral options. And so right now, they're going online, they're checking out each website from the referrals to see which one looks the best and the most professional, and which one aligns most with their desired experience. That's why I feel like you need to have a well-crafted website, even if you're getting a large number of referrals. So let's recap. Today, we talked about the crucial difference between building a standout brand and crafting crave-worthy content. The difference being that you make your brand stand out. We talked about your personal brand blend and how to showcase your personality using a combination of words and visuals on your website. We talked about why SMART goals are not enough when it comes to your website and the method that I recommend for stating your goals in terms that you can apply to your website. And then we talked about the referral excuse and why your website matters as a service-based business owner. This week we covered goals. Stay tuned for next week when we dig into my method for ideal client research. This is probably the most important lesson in the whole process. So you do not want to miss this. Even if you can't make it live, no big deal. You can watch the recording, but definitely don't skip the research phase. It's so crucial. You can grab this checklist at craftingcreative.com/checklist. And if you want a sheet to help you with your goals, if you haven't already grabbed my Web Foundations workbook, you can get that from craftingcreative.com/goals. And as always, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer. Just leave them in the comment below this video and I will go through each one of them. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I can't wait to talk with you next week about how to really do research. And I'll give you a hint, it does not involve surveys or interviews.